Kirito couldn't hate her. She looked good and she dressed up for him. She learned his language. He couldn't hate her. Vivian refused to believe it. Parasian, Vivian faked a laugh. Stop joking around. I'm serious, Kirito said coldly. I know that we don't know each other that well, but I want to know you, and I'm ready to spend my entire life learning about you, Vivian said. She looked at his hand. There wasn't any rings in his fingers. I see. Kirito smiled and got up. Then see you at the wedding ceremony. Vivian smiled. Something wasn't right. She didn't want to do this, but her heart didn't listen to her mind. Things went fluently. The preceding month, everyone seems busy with the preparations. There was just so many things to do in the wedding. Finally, it was the wedding day. The ceremony was held in Japan. Vivian was dressed up in a beautiful white wedding dress. She stood beside Kirito, who was dressed in a black suit. The person stood between them and asked them to take their vows. Vivian, do you take Kirito to be your lawfully wedded husband? He asked. She smiled and she looked into his blue-green eyes. He was smiling while looking into her deep blue eyes. I do. Kirito, do you take Vivian to be your lawfully wedded wife? He looked deeper into his eyes. Yes, I do. From this day, I announce to be your husband and wife. You may kiss. They kissed and everyone got off as they clapped. As they moved away, Vivian whispered into Kirito's ear, nothing may separate us but the word of the Lord. Together we will be in the rosen meadows of prickly roads. Kirito smiled. The reception was arranged in the hall of huge hotel. The musician sat on the stage and played the standard classical wedding piece of Canon of D. Everyone was eating and chatting to each other. When Vivian was done chatting with the guest, she began looking around. She looked at his father standing in the balcony. She walked towards him, hugged him from behind. Papa, what are you thinking about? She whispered in his ears. I'm sad that you grew up. He looked at her. Well, you could just make me portions not to grow up. I wish I could do that. He laughed. Vivian stood beside him and they both looked ahead. Remember, Vivian, the first day when you went to the school? I remember. On my first day, I was so scared to leave you that I grabbed your shirt with I saw the teacher, and when she pulled me away from you, I tore away your shirt. I'm surprised you still remember. How can I forget that? That was the first time when I exposed your boobs to the world. Lucas began laughing. You were a brat, but look how beautiful you have grown. I'm glad you have Kirito. I never thought the day will come so quickly. It feels like yesterday when you headed to walk by yourselves and you always somehow landed on my shoulder. Vivian didn't know what to say, so she just kept quiet. You have finally found your prince, so it seems that daddy is not needed anymore. Dad, Vivian held her father's hand and rested his warm palm on her face. Quacha, I may find my prince, but you will be always be my king. Quacha means don't be silly. Oh, Mantua, you're going to make me cry. Mantua means man. Wanna wanna drink? Is that even a question? Kirito stood with his mother and Mrs. Granete while both the ladies were talking almost themselves. He was staring at Vivian and her father. She suddenly met his friends, his uncles, Iloshi Kurosawa, and began chatting with them. There was suddenly a commotions. People were moving towards the table to see that Vivian and her father were having a drinking competitions. These two, Mrs. Granete passed her temples. It's all right, Mrs. Yomi laughed. Kirito ran towards his father out of confusion. Dad, what's going on? What is he doing? Kirito whispered to his father. Why? Isn't it this fun? A German drinking competitions. We are betting for money. I bet on Vivian. You, Mr. Hyomi asked. Kirito looked angry as he clenched his fist in the wave of anger. Vivian got on the stage with the musician ready to give a performance as the guests cheered for her. She drank, she sang, and everybody else drank with her. Finally, Vivian passed out. She had lost the match as Mr. Granite was still standing. I lost. That was all Mr. Hyomi was concerned about, while Kirito was ready to dig a hole and die in it. Vivian, are you alright, dear? Mrs. Hyomi patted Vivian's head. Guess it cannot be helped. She turned towards Kirito. Take Vivian to your room. She is completely drunk. Okay, he simply followed what was said by his mother. It was about midnight when Vivian regained consciousness. She slowly got up from the bed and dropped her head. Are you up? Kirito asked. He walked out the bathroom. Kirito, where are we? Vivian blushed as she looked around. It's our room, Kirito said coldly. It's very coldly. We have to share a room? She asked. Are you idiot? We are married now. We're gonna do much more than sharing a room. Somehow he sounds a bit colder. Vivian noticed but decided to just observe for some time. He clicked his tongue and sat on the bed. He seemed very different than how he was before. He seemed so warm and approachable then, but now he was capricious. Hey, you hardly even know me. Why did you like me? He asked as Vivian sat beside him. Because with you it's different feeling to admire, Vivian blushed as she smiled. He looked at her up and down for a while she bit her lips and looked at the carpet beneath. Strip, he said. Vivian looked at him. What? What? You love me, right? Then strip. I'm your husband. I have every right over you. That doesn't feel right. She pressed her hand over her heart. Does it look like I care? She clenched her dress. Do you love me? She asked. He chuckled. Are you idiot? You are just a tool for my success. Nothing more. Love you? Bullshit. I fucking hate you. Then you shouldn't ask me to strip. How should I put it? I want to kill sometimes. She looked at him as if refusing to believe what he said. Will you strip now? I'm waiting. She didn't say a thing. Kirito got her answer from silence. He threw a blanket at Vivian. I'm sleeping on a bed. Sleep wherever you wish to. But there isn't any bed. Sleep on damn sofa. Don't disturb me. I have an important meeting tomorrow. She switched off the light while Vivian stood on the floor with the blanket still in her hand. She slowly walked towards the sofa and closed her eyes as she covered herself with the blanket. This isn't what I left my home for.